Just checking in with all the social media platforms. LinkedIn, we are here. We'll get started in another couple of seconds. And YouTube too. What if I told you that one little thing is what differentiates between you having your mediocre or stagnant life or taking it to the next level and become the greatest leader that you've ever wanted to be? What if I told you that what we are going to discuss today is going to save you 5 to 7 years of time, experience, energy, and anything and everything related that can stop you from achieving that success? Welcome to episode 56 Daily Live with Dr. Surya. And for today's very, very special episode, we are going to discuss that one thing which pretty much decides whether we are sticking to failures or moving towards success. And before we do so, this live, we are hitting the 56th episode. And what's even more important is today's special episode, we have a very special person also with us who is going to not just help us navigate through this episode, but someone who's been with me throughout these 5 years, irrespective of whether we are achieving success, stagnancy, learning, whatever it is. With a huge round of applause, let's give it up for Yogeshwari. All right. So, again, that missing piece, Yogeshwari, I would love for you to straight away open up with that one thing which we are going to speak about today.
Most of the time, when we are working with someone, the major issue that we would face is we would think in one direction and the partner whom we are working with would think in another direction. And if our skill sets are different, if our mindset is different, we would find it so difficult to do that task with them. However, I recently got to know that if both the partners working, if they have the same skill set and same mind, they would not grow. Rather, someone who is working with an opposite person who has a different skill set that complements them, that's when things will take off exponentially. That's what happens with Surya, you and I as well, right? Every single time we come together to do something, we find out eventually that we don't have same skills. We have skills that complements each other. However, there's a challenge in that. When we have a peer, a co-founder or a leader who is working shoulder to shoulder with us with completely opposite thinking perspective, opposite skills, there are bound to have clashes like how we did. We had so many clashes in Surya. I couldn't believe that we fought over this one thing for last 5 years. We started in 2020. Everything fell into place when we came together for the first course, Udemy, where we, at that time, every single time I used to wonder what made us be in sync for our Udemy course and what made us completely have that rift and pull each other apart after that. At that time, we understood that we are complementing each other and we focused on the problem, not on the person. Later, as we got used to each other, I think we took each other for a little granted, and every single time the other person comes up with a challenge, a solution, an idea, we started becoming judgmental and critical, right? Might clip this cat. This cat keeps knocking off everything from my taste, including my clips. If my clip breaks, this cat is responsible, and I'm not feeding this cat for next 2 days. You people are responsible. You people are the witness. Now coming back to the thing. So Surya, just walk us through last 5 years. What happened between us? Why did we have so much of clashes, so much of rifts that literally stalled our growth? 5 years is a pretty long time. What do you think?
Even before we get to that, I think one very important thing here to understand is the important context. When we decided to get together, it was not just because we were in love with each other, lovebirds or so and so, and all of those things. In fact, I think when we started talking, I still keep telling everyone in this world that you are the first woman in this planet for whom I didn't really develop any feelings to begin with. There was a lot of admiration, there was a lot of respect, there is a lot of just one moment. Even here at my place, there are cats who keep disturbing, so it's weird. Okay, so our objective was we have a certain set of skills, the skills that I have, which you don't. There's certain skills that you have and I don't, and that's pretty much when we get together, we can actually complement each other. And when we met for the first time, we spoke about the layers as well. Now, the moment we decided to get together, as in literally next to each other and start working hand in hand, the most difficult thing that we were able to not really break through is the problem identification and then problem solving. Now, in that foundational level only, if we are having challenges, then quite obviously there is going to be the elements of mindset gap that also acts as a bigger problem. And with each passing little things, because let's face it, life is all about solving problems. Some are small problems, some are big problems. And even before you go about solving the problem, to be able to have the mindset, awareness, and clarity to detangle the problem and break it down into smaller steps, which makes it realistically possible for us to solve. But then again, at times the ego would take over. At times there would be a complete denial mode. At times there will be like, I'm going to take care of it. I don't know what, where, how, and what, but I'll take care of it. Uh, Not so correct expectation set, not the right deadline set. And if you look at all these different things that I mentioned, everything boils down to communication. Even more, the way we address the problem in the first place, the kind of tonality that we bring in while we are addressing the problem. I remember, I think even yesterday we were having a conversation and there were, the conversation slowly turned a little bit towards maybe emotions got involved and all. And you told me very clearly, please don't talk to me like this. Now, you did not tell that as an insult to me. Rather, you told that to me as a gentle reminder. And for me, immediately the switch kicked in. Oh yeah, it's true. No, I think this is not the way I'm supposed to speak. And it doesn't help as well, no, raising the voice or being angry and arguing and debating and all. It really doesn't help. But right now, at this point of time, what we've come to realize after 5 years finally is instead of forcing our point of views on each other or trying to prove each other or just trying to come to a common ground, rather if we can team up and address the problem head on, that's when we are able to at least get that head start of awareness and clarity and mindset. That's when 1 plus 1 becomes 11. And that's, of course, it took us 5 years to finally realize that. Now, I have, I want your side of the picture as well on this. What is it now? Because I remember, I think in the last 2 days also, we focused on the exact person we want to talk to. We want to focus on how we can bring more value to the people who are following us. So I want you to give us the 5 years learnings from your end, and also what's the biggest breakthrough that you are able to see that we were able to experience from today onwards.
The last 5 years, the only thing that we were doing to each other is proving each other right. I wanted to prove that giving value is the best thing in the market right now. You wanted to prove me that being simplest is the best thing that we can do right now. Having a simplest course, simplest form of training. However, both of us, we had the right intention. This, I'm just taking an example. We had the right intention. Now, with this right intention, What are we focusing? Are we focusing on each other, or are we focusing on the one whom we are going to help? Obviously, when we understood the point, when we understood that it's not about Yogeshwari, it's not about Suryadi, it's about the end user who is going to be benefited out of it. And that's when we had this breakthrough moment where I understood, okay, keeping everything complex will not help because that person might lose interest and run away. And you understood that keeping really simple will also not help because they're already professionals. Now we need to come to a common ground that will serve them in the right way. And that's how I think we were able to come up with our Speak to Lead cohort, which is a blast right now. We are doing, I'm really happy about the way Speak to Lead cohort is coming up, the December batch and the January batch that is getting ready as well. Now, coming to the next thing, which is when every single time we focus on what I say is right, we get into this thought process of I'm not ready to listen to the other person. Whatever the other person says, maybe I know already, maybe I've tried already, maybe that is not for me. Now, these are the blocks that we are keeping in front of us. When we write down whatever we believe, and then when we keep ourselves open to listen to the other perspective without pushing our points, if we just request the other person, is that okay if we can find a common ground where we can integrate both, which will be a win-win-win for everyone? Because both of us, we have the right intention. When the intention is right, then the next thing that we need to sort out is we need to tell to ourselves that who is the person whom we are dealing with? How important is that person for us? Now, yesterday also, we had a heated conversation. Probably you might have thought that fine. If Yogeshwari is not helping me, so what? I'll leave everything and I'll do whatever I want. I thought that okay, if Surya couldn't understand, fine, I'll do it alone. That's for a snap. Then I asked myself, which is the better thing to do? Doing it alone, or finding a new person, or being that grounded leader who pulls people towards them, who is getting the task done from that person who is there with us, who is making the most of the resources, who is understanding what is the problem. The person is never the problem. The person also has the same intent, good intent, want to help, but the approach is different. Maybe whatever I'm sharing, he couldn't understand. Whatever he's sharing, I'm not open to listen to it. I'm not giving that space, holding that space, and giving that freedom. So when I started thinking about it, that's when I understood, fine, I can't do this alone. That's what I told myself. Even if I want to, I don't want to do this alone. I can't do this alone. Why? Because whatever Surya has is a skill that complements my skill. Doing alone will not help. If I do it with him, that's when things will start growing like anything. So I made my mind that I need to calm down. I need to speak to him. I need to ask him that this is what I know right now. This is what I don't know right now. I can't do this without you. Now, that one word, Surya, when I told you that, how did you feel? I just want to listen from you that before we move ahead.
No, every single time any of these kind of conflicts or anything that happens. Now, let's temporarily, I'm going to share it, but I also want to bring the leader's perspective here. Imagine in a company when there is a CEO with a COO and a CTO, different roles, different leaders, and they're having a conflict. And yet one of the leaders walks up to the other person and is like, see, this exact same question is what is being asked. Immediately, here are the stuff that happens within. Anger goes off because there's no conflict, there's no assumption. Thoughts takes a backseat. All forms of emotions and every single thing that can be Okay, so the kitten here in my place is also creating a nuisance. Crazy. Okay. Every single thought that holds us back. And as human beings, we know when we allow to those thoughts to crib in, we just get into that negative spiral and it goes into the worst case scenario by default. But at that moment when the conversation is kickstarted, when someone is extending their hand of help and really opening and creating that space, obviously the heart melts. And eventually we know that we are in this together. We have to solve the problem together. If not us, then who? And then immediately the mind is like, okay, what is the one thing that we really want to achieve? At the end of the day, we all want to grow, right? And then the questions begin. Now, because you and I have been doing a lot of it in our work, we know the kind of questions that triggers outcomes. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What can we do to fix it right now? What can we do to work on this right now? And the best part is because you said that, it felt even more special because I know that no other human being on this planet would. So for me, a little additional feelings would be the blush, the cheeks turning red, the heartbeat increasing. And it's not just out of the love, it's also out of that excitement of getting to work together. Because that's really been that only one unanimous thing that has been constant ever since the first conversation that we had on 28th October 2020 over email. The only objection was, oh my god, Yogeshwari is absolute magic. It'll be so much fun to get to work with her. And that is exactly what is unfolding here. Now, as a leader, you will be blown away on when you think like this for your fellow colleagues as well, fellow leaders as well. Because at the end of the day, it's only when you both are coming together, one plus one is coming 11, that's when the company is earning an additional million in revenue. That's what happens in every, whether it's a small startup, whether it's a big corporate, this is what happens. So that's what I felt. Yeah.
So here, the only focus that we had is it's always us versus the problem. And that's when we were able to come up with this brilliant speak to lead cohort. And that's when we were able to bring in people who are interested in learning from us. And right now, as we have overcome those challenges, which was literally stalling us for last 5 years, and we were able to overcome this in last 40 days, I believe, 50 days, right? Last 50 days. Still, it was a lot of back and forth. Now, internally, as a leader, what's happening inside your head?
I think while I will give my side of the picture, I would also love for you to share your insights as well. Because again, we want multiple perspectives into the same problem so that we can also diversify the different options that comes in as well while we are facing this problem. So for me, it was more about, okay, what are the things that we are discussing, committing, and then not following through? So we all know, and it's the universal truth that knowledge is waste until unless it's implemented. It's garbage. Discussions and meetings and all, and especially in corporates and all, doesn't make any sense until unless you are able to take out actionables, implement it, and then see the results. Now, meetings and discussions is meaningless. Action is also meaningless until and unless you see what's working, what's not working, and you're able to reiterate the approach, which takes you more towards the outcomes and the solutions. Now, unfortunately, the for us, there were roadblocks after roadblocks after roadblocks. It could be something very small, as in going to sleep early so that we wake up early. But we are using our phone, or we are probably binging on some TV shows or some YouTube videos or scrolling some reels. Again, could be any reason, but the cause I'm talking about. It's only when we decided to understand it's not just the cause, the fact that we are allowing ourselves to get distracted and then whiling away the time, deep within there is something that is unfulfilled in us, which happened throughout the day, which right now we didn't feel so. And that's why we want to while away and at least feel fulfilled to some extent, give us that dopamine hit. But then when we only realize that the actual thing that we are craving for was the dopamine hit, why not really try and see what are the more productive ways to make that happen in a way that we are able to have a phenomenal day ahead? Also, while doing the work, there are a lot of challenges that comes in. challenges in terms of what you rightly mentioned. Lead generation is there. Right now we're working on platforms. We need to get our cohorts filled in, all of those things for the upcoming couple of batches and everything. All those different aspects are there. But for us to really have that clear mind to sit down and work on it, that itself requires a humongous amount of courage to even kickstart that conversation. So, as a leader, until and unless we work on these little aspects, that's what sets the foundation. Anything that is not that, it just falls apart into pieces. The moment we decided to work on all of these pieces one piece at a time, of course, AI was also a very big help. And I think later during this podcast itself, we will, this live itself, we'll discuss a little bit about the master prompt thing that you guided me through. That was like out of this world stuff. Now, these were the things that I felt. Now I want to throw the ball at your court. Again, the same questions that you just asked me. What is it that we were not doing right that we started doing in these 50 days? And how did we also manage to break through those gaps and the stop start stuff to finally get ourselves aligned full fledged?
You were so spot on. I can't tell you how much I'm in alignment with you, especially when this one topic. Why do we scroll at night? Because we are not fulfilled. We are not satisfied. We are not getting that dopamine hit with that we crave for. And I see myself scrolling, spending hours in the night. Even if I want to sleep, I'm not sleeping, majorly because I didn't do what I'm supposed to do during the day. As simple as that. And the days that I had my peak productivity, accomplished all the tasks that I set for the day, the days that I felt so fulfilled are the days that I slept so peacefully. I had such sound sleep. Now, this, most of us, maybe we know, we don't know, we don't think about it. This is the starting point of a lot of the troubles that we are going through, because our day starts the night before. We need to be very clear about that. Our day doesn't stop when we wake up, it starts the night before, when we go to sleep with the right intention, with the right mindset, preparing everything for the next day. And that's when it starts, right? So, the moment I realized that, I started telling myself, okay, I'm going to wake up early. For that, I need to sleep early. So, if I want to go to bed by 8, I'll be in my bedroom by 7. So that nice 1 hour, I'll while around, I'll read something, I'll do whatever I want. By 8, I'll go to sleep. Now that I'll prepare everything for the next morning. When the next morning comes, as soon as I get up, my only focus was, how can I accomplish everything that I want to accomplish in my to-do list before 10 o'clock, ideally, or if it gets stretched, before 2 o'clock. So that by the time half a day gets over, I'm done with all my tasks. Rest of the day is completely for me. And I'm already fulfilled. I can spend time with my family. I can spend time with myself. If I want to scroll, I can still go through scrolling. I can have a dedicated time for distraction. I can read and I can ease myself to sleep again. Now, the day I realized, the time I go to sleep, the way I prepare for the next day, the hours of sleeping that I'm putting in, and the intensity of sound sleep that I'm getting decides my productivity for the following day. That's when I started protecting these things. And I think I'll continue to protect it, because that decides how I function throughout the day, from the time I'm awake till the time I get again go to bed. That's a beautiful insight that you just gave, Surya. I just want to touch upon that. And to answer your question, as a peer leader, for you, we work shoulder to shoulder. How do I face all of these things? The major thing that I see is, yes, there are certain things that I commit, but I couldn't keep up. Instead of just asking myself, why am I not able to do it? Or instead of whatever, if you are pointing out, instead of telling that, why are you questioning me? I just have to surrender and accept that I have this gap. and I need to find resources to overcome this challenge. As simple as that. The best way is I can communicate that to you. I'm not able to keep up my commitment. Is there any way you can help me with that? Now that keeps me grounded. Ego is completely kept aside. And as a fellow leader, you are happy to help me. And I think mostly people are good. Mostly people will help. As long as it's not a sensitive issue, we can always ask for help. That's what I feel. So when you felt that I have certain gaps, what did you go through? And how did you come up with a way to help me out with that?
This is something very unique, and it's good that you asked. Now, in retrospection, we all have communication frameworks. Maybe this is a topic parked for some of our future Sons Den podcast. If possible, I think I'll make a note of it. Uh, there is a way in which you talk to your partner, your spouse, your girlfriend, your children, your parents, your boss, your junior, your friend. There are specific vocal archetypes for each of these conversations. Question patterns, uh, tonal patterns to that evokes certain emotions. We have been doing it consciously and unconsciously over the last couple of years, and obviously we don't put in awareness and clarity in communication, but so far you and I, that's the one thing that we have been doing ever since we started this journey together. Now, what I usually see is there is a natural mode of communication or a natural archetype that we all have in us. And that is developed over a period of time thanks to the upbringing that we've had, the school and college academics, the people we spoke to. They shaped us to become who we are right now. And that becomes our default mode. Now, let's just look at a piano for a moment. A piano has a total of, if I have to get into the technicalities of it, there is the octave. So there is a total of 8 keys, and then there's a total of 8 whites and 5 blacks, most probably. And that there are at least 7 to 8 such segments in the whole piano. Now, if you just take your voice itself, because at the end of the day, the voice is what speaks. If you look at just that one little segment, probably we are functioning at that one default octave, the default range of our voice. But then either it gets you the solution good, congratulations, happy for you. In case if it doesn't, then you need to have a fallback option in terms of your other vocal archetypes that can help to gain more, for you to gain more clarity, for the other person to feel more. And let's understand this very clearly now. People don't understand words, they understand the tone and the feelings that come out of words. So for you, specifically for you, and that's why I feel so blessed that we are in this journey as not just business partners but life partners as well, where every single time I know that a vocal archetype of a head of training and development is not going to work with the creative head of Sons Den. Because at that specific moment, there's a humongous possibility that Yogeshwari needs Surya, not the chief creative director needs the head of training and development. So I have to ensure that the tonal patterns do not hold even the remotest aspect of logic, especially with women. That is the mandatory thing that as males we must understand. And only after that awareness and clarity you bring in the the previous patterns where things have been successful. So I know we had that conversation back in October where you kind of broke down, and then I just gave you that space. And then once you finished breaking down and you stabilized, and then you were open because stuff had come out and you were empty. And that's when I started asking you open-ended question: if you have all the time and money in the world, what would you do, and all those things. That laid the foundation of this 56 days that we've been doing. And even that day, like day before yesterday also, uh, the conversation was very simple. Like, if there's anything that you need, just ask. I'm here to help you with all the resources and tools that you need. Now, these were just a set of words, but if you observe the way I craft, like even now when I told it, it's out of with that complete empathy. Like, I don't really care whether you got a single client or not, or we've created any results in the 5 years or not. At that point of time, at that specific moment, all that matters is I am right there for you. And the tonality needs to express that. And let's face it, I don't know about you all watching, but women feel emotions more than any other species and beings in this whole planet. So you cannot fake it. There's no way that you can fake it. As human beings, we are natural psychologists. We have something called as intuition. So people know whether you're faking it or not. Simple as that. In fact, I go to such an extent where I'm following my gut like anything. Even if there's the slightest possible misalignment, I'm like, I'm off. I'm so sorry. Something doesn't feel right. I'm so sorry. I can't do it. I don't want to have this conversation. No, not happening. And at the same time, I take responsibility in order to first create that space. So that's what I did. Now, here is another very interesting part. Yogeshwari, you are very, very reserved. Like very, when I say reserved, I'm talking about you, your emotions, your expressions, and everything stays in the neutral zone. Yes, you are very, very energetic and absolutely flamboyant when you're on stage. That's a different avatar of you. That's the Tony Robbins avatar. But naturally, in a day to day conversation, you're very, very neutral. Me, on the other hand, I'm extremely polarized and volatile. Like the person you see right now is literally the person I am 24/7, 365. Nothing changes. Now, this has its pros and cons. There is always these extreme cycles of polar emotions that I'm going through. Now, for me as a leader to handle me, especially during difficult periods, becomes a very, very big challenge. So, what is it that you were able to find out in the last 56 days, which you felt was that turning key or that secret code of the lock that has been able to unleash? I mean, this I think has to be your uh, probably your biggest success story so far, huh? Your mentee is doing 56 days of live non-stop. There's not a single day break, and I don't see myself stopping this anytime soon because I'm enjoying this so much, left, right, and center, irrespective of the number of views I'm getting or whatever it is. It's going to grow eventually, I know it. So what is it that you have learned? What is it that you found out? What is it that you implemented? Just help us deconstruct the entire thing from your end.
Just with you and I, we understood that people are stable in emotions like me, at least to the outer world. Inside, I might go through a huge volcano eruption, but you won't see that. On the other hand, there are personalities, leadership personalities, who are volatile, who are extremely energetic when they feel good, who go extremely down and take people with them, drag people with them down, the way you do when they are down. So, first of all, I'll decode how do I handle you. It's a huge struggle, man. I I go through mental pressure. I have to do that. But however, I don't have a choice. So I have to pull my socks up and I have to do this. Yeah, you are the sweetest that we have. How to handle someone who is emotionally volatile? First, we need to understand that they are emotionally volatile and they are not hiding anything, which means they are what they are internally, externally, and they are harmless. However, their emotions might overpower us. So if they are emotionally happy, yeah, true. Hypocrisy, they are, for them, hypocrisy doesn't exist. I'll tell you, people like me, we are hypocrites because I feel something and I tell something because I want to be stable as a leader. And why would I hide that? Even if I'm angry, I wouldn't be showing that on my face if I shouldn't be showing it. So you might call it hypocrisy, you might call it diplomacy, that's up to you. However, people like Surya who are emotionally volatile, they cannot hide their emotions and feelings. So for them, if you are someone who is supporting them, hold space for them, listen to them, judgment free, unconditional, non judgmental space is something that they need. Let them speak as much as they want to so that they can take out the emotion. And as Surya rightly pointed out, only when the emotions come out, people become receptive. There is something called, even during conversation, there is one person who is sharing, the other person who is receiving. Now, in between, I learned this during my national eligibility test, which is the technical aspect of communication. Imagine there's a phone here and there's one more phone here. This phone is the sender of the information. And there's one more phone is the receiver of the information. And in between, there are certain noise. Now, what is that noise? It can be a background noise. It can be less clarity from this. The sender is only not sending proper clarity. Okay, that's also a noise. In between, there can be a soundproof system which will block, or the network breakage. All these are noise. Likewise, in human beings, I'm speaking right now to you. If you are not receptive, even if I scream at the top of my voice, I beg, I cry, nothing will reach you because there's a noise. And that noise can be whatever is happening inside your head. That noise can be your prejudices. That noise can be your perceptions about certain things, the lens that you look certain things through. That noise can be your experience. Probably someone must have told you this already and it didn't work out, so you don't want to listen again. Right? That happened a lot of times with Surya. I made commitments and I didn't keep up with my commitments. And the next time I say the same commitments, he'll be like, you have told me multiple times, don't bring the same thing again and again. Right? Even though I am genuine, I want to do this time. Because of his previous experience was not so good, he's not ready to be receptive. And that's when, as a human being, when we speak, we need to understand whether the person is receptive or not. If the person is not receptive, it is as good as for us to keep our mouth shut. That will do more good than us speaking. So that's what happened. That's what I keep doing all these days. I let him speak and I stay quiet. I tell him, I'm processing these information, I've taken notes. Can we talk about this probably in the evening, probably the next day, probably the next week, so that I give time to myself? Because when emotions attack you as a human being, as you are an emotional being, you also get involved in that. You also get affected by that. You cannot shield yourself completely, no matter what. So you need that time. You need to give that time to the other person as well. And during that time, what happens is, as someone who is emotionally volatile vented out everything, they're empty. Now that's the right time for them to think, sit and think on what's right and what's wrong. They'll come back and they'll say, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have done this way. I This is what I want to do right now. I'll tell you, even before you can give them solutions, they would have already gotten their solution. Surya, correct me if I'm wrong. Yesterday, what happened with you after that conversation where I didn't utter a word? I just told you that we'll talk about it in the evening. You went, evening came, and then you came back and you told me something. What happened at that time?
So just to give a little bit of a context first. So in the morning, I called up Yogeshwari and I said that I want to vent out. So whenever we have this little pact that whenever we want to vent out, we leave whatever work we are doing and we kind of clear our entire schedules and give that undivided time to each other, where we don't really speak. We're not listening to answer. We are just listening to give the support. And that's what happened. And she beautifully listened to every single thing that I spoke about. Uh, and then she took a lot of notes also. And that was it. We went on to our respective works for that particular day. Later in the evening, I just came up to her and told this exact challenge that we are facing in our business right now, right? This is the skill that I bring in. This is the skill that you bring in. This is the tools that we need. These are the platforms that we have to work on. This is the person we want to work with. Shall we start setting that up? Now, I'm not sure what she was planning to tell me, but the fact that she gave me that space to open up, it allowed me to take out the stuff that was bothering me, and I could go back into the drawing board to focus on the actual problem that is bothering us. At the same time, knowing with full conscience that she's already putting in the efforts that is needed to make things happen. So instead of asking, oh, why are things not happening, which I was doing for the last 5 years, and that didn't help at all, why not do that little bit of a homework myself on what are the problems, and bring her those data and statistics and the whole report. That way it becomes easy for her also to get a little closer towards the problem. Maybe Yogeshwari is still not able to see the clear problem itself, and by me asking why isn't it solved yet, it becomes even more a bigger confusing loop if you look at it. And that's exactly what happens in the corporates, mind you. The leaders, they come and question, why is this job not done yet? That's such a stupid question to ask. Here is what I'm able to see, that the results did not happen. Can we just sit and discuss what is it that we can do right the next time? Now, don't you think that you are actually creating the space for the person to open up to you, and also at the same time accept the help that you are definitely willing to give? And there is no ego involved by default. And that's why I really love people like Laila Hormozy and her perspectives. Simon Sinek, oh my God, the way he focuses on empathetic communication every single step in the way. And it was just me yesterday practicing that entire thing. The fact that right now we are doing this live and we are able to clearly share that also comes down to how we have been able to become crystal clear with each other first, tackle the problem first, and now we are able to give you the exact frameworks that we used, which can literally be used by anyone. And mind you, these are literally day-to-day problems that the leaders in some of the greatest companies in the planets are facing. In fact, I'm sure there are a lot of legal cases also going on left, right, and center, all coming down to this. So that's something that I did. Yes.
I also want you to cover that you were able to look at the problem and you were able to do your groundwork after taking out all the emotional stuff that you were going through. Why couldn't you do before that? What changed from the time you completely shared everything, in our words, vented out everything?
I mean, I think we discussed this today morning also, just before this live, that what are the different ways in which we can vent out emotionally. And I like to look at it as layers. The first thing you do is you record a voice note. Second thing you can do is you can write it out. Third thing you can do is you can record a video. Anything that works for you to take stuff out. Now, only when these forms of communication, audio, video, and written, you have done it. Now, the way that I like to do it is I like to do it with AI, because AI, I know, will not have any emotions, will give me that judgment-free space to actually vent out stuff. But then I know that it's not just that I want to vent out, I also want solutions. If you remember that yesterday's conversation which we had, it was not just a went out, the went out followed by three very prominent options that I was seeking clarity on. So it only comes down when we have tried these three forms of initial communication, and even after venting out, it's actually gone worse because now you need clarity, but you're not getting any. Speak to AI. AI is just a yes, ma'am, yes, man all the time, right? Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Come here, let me give you a hug, and all those nonsense is what we don't need at that time. I need brutal, hardcore clarity. Only then my third level is to walk up to Yogeshwari. So I always believe Yogeshwari is my enlightened one. So she's there to solve every problem, period. Doesn't matter how small or big it is, she knows how to solve the problem. So that also includes setting the context first. And I'm also aware that there will be emotional repercussions to it. It happens both ways, by the way. And that's something that as a leader, I feel we need that muscle of resilience, emotional resilience. And it all comes down to emotional intelligence yet again. How do you demarcate or decipher what's the emotional vent out that's coming in and what's the actual problem? You, as a leader, you cannot get affected by it. Rather, you need to create that space where it, again, that's why coaching and counseling and psychology and human to human interactions, empathy and all, these are, I think, life saving skills in the years to come. All the more why I know this live is going to go viral at some point of time for sure. That is what we practice moment to moment, moment to moment. And yesterday was just another example. But then, Yogeshwari, at the same time, for you, while you were in that zone, the volcanic eruption zone, because I know how, for me, I believe in truth. Only the truth, just the truth, nothing but the truth. That's my go to mantra. And let's face it, there are times when truth hurts. It not just hurts, it stings. It, like there's a wound, and you put the finger in the wound and you kind of make it even worse. And you are in that firing line at that point of time, both as a leader as well as a partner, as well as all the different layers that we have. So when that episode was going through, how did you navigate through it? Of course, you did take a lot of notes and all, and there was complete silence from your end, just the nod and all. But other than that, internalizing stuff and then uh, figuring out the solutions and all, what was going on in your end?
So every single time I sit for a conversation like this, especially when it's a vent from you, these are the couple of action steps that I take. Number one, I completely tell myself that I'm not supposed to open my mouth. No giving advices here, no free advice. Just it's from my end, I have to hold the space, I have to listen to you. Not listening to reply, listening to understand. Now, as I'm understanding, I'm also taking notes. Now, when I take notes, I look for patterns. What are the patterns that are getting repeated? If a similar incident is happening more than thrice, then it's a pattern. And that pattern has to be fixed. Now, what is the solution for that? I write down even that. Now, in that case, if then in that incident is not related to me, I'm not emotionally affected by it. I get into the coach zone and I get into problem solving zone. Now, if that involves me, then I'm also emotionally involved and affected. And that's when I need to take time off. I don't take decisions at that time because my emotions are triggered and no one can take logical decisions during emotionally agitated situation. So I just take notes at that time. I look for pattern at that time. I'll not try to solve. I'll not try to solve. Rather, I tell myself that, okay, there are certain things that are concerning me as well in this episode. Now, in order to fix that, I'm also at fault, or I may not be at fault. no matter what it is, there's a communication gap. Whether I'm at fault or not, if there is a problem which leads to a communication gap, as simple as that. Now, in that case, I just observe and I tell myself, I'm going to think about it, come back to it, think about it when I'm emotionally neutral. And that's when I tell you that I'm not ready to give you any answers or talk about this right now. Is it okay if we can talk about this probably in the evening or the next morning? Now, in that time, what happens? First of all, I emotionally come to a neutral zone and then I look at it as a problem. I ask myself, am I really at the fault in this case? If yes, I'll accept. And when I accept, that's when I'll be receptive towards receiving the advice. And I ask you, okay, I understand you have pointed this out. Here is where I go wrong. Can you help me with this, please? Now, these are the three steps that I say. I am aware and accept this is the problem. I see this is where things are not in alignment or going wrong, or I'm not committing to whatever I'm supposed to, doing whatever I've committed to. So this is what is the challenge. I also make myself aware of my challenge. Now, when I see that you have highlighted a problem, I look back in my past and reflect, have I repeated that pattern in my past self with myself? If I have repeated with that pattern, then which means it needs deep work. It's a serious issue. And if it needs deep work, that's why I come back and I ask, I see here is my problem and I want to fix it. Can you help me? You can help me either with coaching, you can help me either with steps, you can help me either with resources. But I need help. Now that's when things ease out because both the party they understand that there are certain things that needs to be fixed in both the ends. When I give time, Surya also comes back with, okay, so I've been thinking this. This is what I can help you with. Can we do it together? So that's when both the parties come together, emotionally neutral state, thinking in logics, and things fall into places. That's how we've been working. And in this, yes, we get hurt emotionally. However, we keep telling ourselves that we are not fighting against each other. In fact, we are together in this process and we want to do something great. And one thing that is keeping us together until now is I know Surya will never hurt me. And he knows that I will never hurt him. This assurance that we have on each other is keeping us together through the thick and thin. Now, if that assurance is not there, if people are insecure, if people don't know that you have their back, that's when things turn a little difficult. If your leader believes that you don't have their back, or if your team believe that as a leader you don't have your team's back, that's when first the trust breaks. And then when the trust breaks, immediately they try to protect themselves with shield. They don't open up. So I think it all boils down to summarize as we have come to the end of this episode. To summarize, it starts with the trust on each other. It starts with that assurance that we give to each other. I keep telling Surya that you are the most important person in my life. He keeps telling me that he loves me so much. I keep telling him that I can't do this without him. He keeps telling me that he doesn't want to do this without me. Now, this gives us that assurance. As a leader, how can you do that? You can tell your team that it's because of the team things are happening. Without the team, you wouldn't be able to do it. And if you are a team member, you can walk up to your leader and you can say that it's because of that leader you are growing in your career. If that leader hadn't guided you with whatever steps, you wouldn't have understood it that easily. Lower down your ego. Give them that assurance. It's like in any love relationship. If there is no assurance, security with each other, things will fall apart. And that security, if you give to that other person, they'll open up, they'll lower their guard, and communication will become seamless over there. then that's how I wanted to wrap up. Surya, I hand over the thing to you in case if you have the last few words.
I think you've just perfectly summarized every single thing. And while you were sharing, I was just reminded of each and every of those working opportunities that I've been a part of, where this exact thing got broken, the trust with the leader. And that's when you're not fully there in your work. You're just there for the sake of it, for the salary, not really for the bigger cause. And eventually you're just going to rot. The stagnancy has already started. You'll never really be able to go up to the next level. Although, albeit right now, thanks to that whole episode of 7 years, we are creating, we have come to that realization that with all the mass firing and everything that's happening all across the globe, now that thanks to social media, we're getting to know about it. This is literally the perfect time when good people can actually create good companies. Good leaders are there, good companies are there, and good employees will always be there. It is just that it all begins with that foundation of, firstly, who is it that we are talking to? Who we are? What is it that we would like to represent ourselves as in each of those conversations as a leader? And finally, the last most important thing is there's always the company, the team members in the company, and then the community or the customers that the company is serving. The same leadership, the same empathy, the same compassion, is it there in each of these members across all these different departments within the whole chain? Even if there's a slightest mismatch, personally, I feel I don't even want to be a part of it. And I'm absolutely okay to forego opportunities left, right, and center. I'm also ready to be upfront and open in which I have been as well on interviews. At this point of time right now, that is exactly what we work on in our life cohort. We just help you be yourself so that you can inspire your team to be themselves. At the end of the day, every relationship, it's not just that Yogeshwari and I are together and all those things. No, look at this relationship as we have a mentor-mentee relationship. We have business partners. We have uh, technical heads and creative heads. We have different social media expertise. And every single role that we play with each other, for each other, requires this one unanimous thing that connects it all together, binds it all together. And if that's not there, I think we all know what all problems we have been facing in our day-to-day life leading up to this moment. So a lot of takeaways, a lot of breakthroughs, and I think this is one of the episodes that I am going to be watching in loop with every couple of months on, because of the depth of where we went today. Big thank you, Yogeshwari, for today. I think episode number 56 was really made super special with your presence. And what is even more amazing is how you can stay in touch with us, because every single day, 8 a.m., Yogeshwari does a live. I do a live at 8:30 a.m. You can literally come and talk to us. You can write to us. You can hop in. I mean, that's something that I have in mind, where I'll ask my joinees to just hop in and interact with me if you would like to in that live itself. But more than that, from this moment on, all the things that we are creating is also something that you need to stay tuned to. With that, thank you so much for being with us. Episode number 56. This is Dr. Suryadeep with.
I have to unmute yourself. This is Yogeshwari signing off until we meet you tomorrow, sharp at 8 and 8:30. Bye bye.